So different from yesterday. So just holding the palms over the actual spine itself, making a good contact, but not using body. I'm not leaning into her any more than just to make contact. And for those people who know what I'm talking about, you can connect your fluids with a capital F, TCM, with her fluids, with his fluids, with the person you're touching. So especially the cerebral spinal fluid flowing through the middle of the spine. Connecting with the breath, her breath. And really taking the opportunity to tune into your own spine, position of your head, aiming to act like a lightning conductor, earthed through the coccyx and the legs, the hara, open in all directions, connecting with the universal key, sensing the circulation and the flow of the key through us both. Shoulder rotation. I'm placing the head, slightly squeezing my hands into her bones, the scapula at the back and the sort of the joint of the shoulder at the front. Moving from my heart, and notice that my elbows don't leave my sides in as much as I'm not doing this. See what I mean? So the relationship between my hands and my hara remains the same, and it's my hara that directs the movement as smooth as possible. More about a smooth movement than it is about stretching. That's okay. On rotation, holding the wrist, fingers underneath, thumb on top, nice wide stance so that you can keep your balance. Fingertips of the mother hand in the joint, so not on the bone at the front by large intestine 15, not on the chest by spleen and lung 1, but right in the liver meridian. Not too much.
Liver meridian's tight.
Oh, it's in here that you're feeling it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Right, so you can go in.
You sure?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a liver meridian or gallbladder?
You haven't done liver yet, it's gallbladder. Classical gallbladder becomes liver, same liver at the front. Adding in the stretches. Now you're going to do as if you're going to take an extra rotation, but you're going to change your body position so that you're sitting back to face the head. And as long as the shoulder feels comfortable enough, then my hip is right next to her, really supporting her body, and her hand is on the other side of me. So you can start by having a nice stretch, just to open it up. See what happens, that her chin moves towards me, so that tells me that there's stiffness in here. Otherwise her face would just stay still on the cushion. So in the same way as the acupressure course people we did when in supine, remember when we did neck stretches and held with the heel of the hand, so you can tuck the arm right underneath your arm, put the heel of your hand along the bone at the base of the skull. Inhale and exhale. Hold the head steady and stretch. What's this muscle?
Sternocleidomastoid muscle.
Sternocleidomastoid muscle. You can stretch that muscle there. So let's see if that's changed. Not much, little bit. Her head's staying still a little bit. So there's still quite a bit of tension around there. So if you bring up one knee, you can wedge the arm between you and your knee, your thigh. And then with the mother hand at the top, you can squeeze lung and large intestine at the same time. So the lung and the large intestine meridians are on either side of the edge of the bone. So the edge of the bone would be the join between the yin and the yang. So on this side, here's the yin side of her arm, here are the edges of the bones here, this is her radial bone and her ulnar bone, and in between that's the yang side, yeah? The lung and the large intestine meridians are on either side of that bone. So instead of doing the sort of open palming that we've been doing up until now, palming like this, we're going to squeeze, more like we do at the Achilles tendon at the bottom of the bladder. So I'm working, if you like, lung with my lung and large intestine with my large intestine. So this is just a general preparation, just a general squeezing through all the way to the thumb, which is the lung, and the forefinger, which is the large intestine. So doing that twice, like we would palm twice. So I know in my mind that that's what I'm doing. I am in fact touching other meridians with my hand, but my intention is to work the lung and the large intestine. So it's all very well if you don't know the other meridians, that's not going to be a problem, but if you do, you need to know that that's what you're doing. Now with the palm up, the way that it is, I can now go into the lung meridian specifically. So this is on the yin side of the edges of those bones, coming into the radial side of the thumb. And that means that I can find those pressure points. So now we go back to the first evening when we arrived on Friday, finding the underneath of the clavicle, finding lung 2. It is the kidney meridian. Finding lung 2, which is that little dip, coming down from there. So another position, we didn't find it inside position, lung 1. The meridian goes up and around. The next point that we learned was lung 5. So you can experiment. Maybe you can do it. It's the one that's in the crease of the elbow here, on the radial side. So experiment whether it's easier to find your way down into the subo with this hand, or whether you want to support the arm and use that hand, which feels better to me. So it will be different according to different people's anatomy and so on. Lung 7 is now starting to be slightly behind you, so you're going to have to do it by feel. So I'm using my thumb, I'm feeling for the knob of bone at the base of the radius, and then I'm finding lung 7 just on the side of it. And the other hand here is very important, acting as a reassuring presence and a signal for me for when I've been here long enough. Of course you can ask the person, so that's lung 7, and you can just squeeze the end of the thumb just to finish off the meridian. For the large intestine, we're going to move the arm along the side of the body. Large intestine 20 by the side of the nose, using my large intestine forefinger. Pull at the crook, large intestine 11. So I'm putting my leg up so that, because it feels like a little bit of pressure here. Can you see the arm starting to fall off the side of her body? So I'm putting her, I'm almost using this like a mother hand as well, to steady the arm. And now just come straight down into large intestine 20. And large intestine 4, Oh, sorry. Then you kick your partner. Make sure that they're still awake. Sorry about that. Large intestine 4. And we've got toothache, large intestine 1, but otherwise you just squeeze, so that's the point that we were doing last night. Okay, and then from then you would go on and do the bladder like we did yesterday. So the mother hand is around about the sacrum, palming. I'll just do it once. Oh, I thought missed out again, squeezing the neck, so you can put that in at the beginning. Or you can do it here if you've forgotten. Changing over mother hands if you need to. And remembering that the bladder meridian is just one kun from the centre line of the head. So it's really, really central. Almost the most central, other than the governing vessel, the central meridian itself. Whereas once we get to the back, it's 1.5 kun from the centre line. Or half if you're working with Zen. And then the thumbing, you can use the finger for 1. So here I'm not, because of my position, I've not got my hara, then my hand, then the subo in that direction, coming round the side. So I'm directing my finger through the point into my hara and taking my hara back a little bit. You were all doing it, so I didn't need to sort of spell that out yesterday. So I'm not using very much body weight, obviously. It's the inside of our eye, but I'm still very focused between my working hand and my hara. As soon as you get to the top of the head, you can start to work forward with the hara as before. Just enough that the head or the back slightly moves. Number 10. At the base of the skull, just to the side of the spine itself, down the spine, still very close to the spine itself, big bone, and then the point governing vessel 14 that we did, you can do that here. Do you remember, just in the space, vertebral space, just underneath the big bone, the 7th cervical, between the 7th cervical and first cervical. And then on down the bladder meridian. And again, if you forget that, or if it makes more sense to you to do it before or after, you can put it in wherever you want.
Would it make sense as well, since
Yeah.
say to particularly with lung 7, when the arm is behind?
Yes, that would be a very good place to do it. Forgot about that. Yes. So that's something that you could do either here, lung 7, where you don't turn it over. So lung 7, pull back into that and hold governing vessel 14 that way, if I wanted to do them both together. Or, as Francesco says, I don't really want to do that now. No. I think that, for me, just now with Jenny, that makes more sense doing it that way. That's quite nice. Very nice to you. So thumbing the bladder again there, and then bladder in the legs. And really paying attention to the angle that you're using. Stepping across if you need to. The angle needs to come in at this angle. This, if you think of this as being the side of the leg, the gallbladder coming down the side, bladder is at direct right angles to that. If they, like slice through her leg, I would be here. Yeah. So you want to get that angle correct, which everybody worked on yesterday, which means that you're right inside the join of the knee. So I often use my middle finger there, and it would be coming out here at the top of the patella if I carried on. Okay, so her leg's badly positioned, so such that if I was to put pressure here, her foot would fall off. Little toe and thumbing it, so twice palming, twice thumb. And see how I don't need to look at what I'm doing. My hara is looking at my thumb and into the subos, but my eyes don't need to, so that I can still keep my spine straight, like that lightning rod, to transmit the ki, to earth it through my coccyx, and to connect with the universal key through the top.
Can you work any other meridians, like the extensions on the legs in this position?
Lung, what comes next?
Okay.
Well done. Large intestine, all of those. Gallbladder, you'd have to move to there. Triple heater stomach, all of them. It's not what you have to do just now, but spleen, small intestine, heart, top, liver. Squeezing the foot. Have a nice feel around, find the bones, see where your thumbs drop in, find the greedy bits. Give me one. Good opportunity to have a look at the whole body and just see what's going on. See where the breath is, for example, in her shoulders, not so much in her hips. And the whole thing on the other side. You can do all over. So the bottom leg needs to stretch out if possible, and then the top leg can go up. How's that? Squeezing the neck. For people that don't know about bladder 10, do you want to just come and see and I'll show you where it is? So here's the spine. That's bladder. That's the bladder meridian. Can you see those sort of ridges going down there, yeah? If you were to feel, you would feel that here's the skull, bladder 10. Okay, so here's the skull coming around, the edge of the skull, gallbladder 20, governing vessel coming up the centre, bladder 10 there.
So like the hole in it, like that.
Just to the side of there,
Side of it.
right at the top. Shoulder rotations. Arm rotations. a bit of an arm rotation. Taking the hand under your opposite oxter. You can do a little stretch there. Just leaning back in my hara. Squeezing lung and large intestine. Another hand at the top. Right.
And then stiffness there.
Right. Better higher up. So if that's the case, you have to adapt.
It's nice back there, it feels like it needs it.
Okay. But higher,
It's
but it just
slightly-
needs to be a bit
yeah.
higher up. Okay.
It's just there's a bit there that feels like it needs to take a bit.
Up in here.
Yeah.
Pressing seems to be doing the job.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the small intestine points.
Yeah.
You can also rotate by using the shaft of the humerus.
That's nice.
Lovely.
But I don't want to give you too many new techniques, so please just stay with the basics. Those of you who are a bit less experienced, does that feel any more comfortable?
Yeah.
Okay. So either side of the edge of the humerus and the edge of the radial bone to the thumb and the forefinger. So a squeeze around the palm. So my palm, the centre of my palm is on the edge of the bone, and then that way I know that I'm getting both sides of it, seeing it in my mind's eye. And then the lung meridian, so lung 1. Sorry. Okay. So here's the clavicle. Here's the underneath of the clavicle, the inferior edge. Here's lung 2, the dip in front of the mound of the shoulder, that's 2, and that's lung 1.
I feel that as much as you
Wish I can.
breathe it into it.
Thanks there.
Yeah, I feel it open. The air feels clear.
Okay. Okay.
You're not doing lung 2 in this position.
No, lung 2 is not on your list. I don't want to give you too many points. I use lung 2 to find lung 1, and you can use it because it's very good for back pain, but at the moment we're doing points for coughs and colds, and it's not particularly associated with that. 5, at the elbow crease. You want to find the, yeah, you want to find the deepest place. So it's easy to find the subos in that area, but then if you keep looking, you'll find a very deep place. It's like it's sort of like a tiny, very thin hole.
Isn't the radial side of the tendon?
Yeah, but way out, further out than that, almost just inside the bone.
It's easier to feel though
If you bend.
if it comes down. So
Definitely.
would you bend?
Yeah, I am slightly bending
Slightly
it.
bending.
Yes. It is, sorry.
Slightly stiff there.
Yes.
Yeah.
7. Well, here's the novel at the end of the radial bone. It's just superior to that, nearer the head from it. It's 7. I want you to look at it.
Yeah.
There. Governing vessel 14.
Why do you use those two at the same time? What's the benefit?
It's an acupuncture thing. It opens up the channels. So you're opening the chest with this point, clearing the fullness in the chest, and then working the respiratory tract, if you like, with this point. I don't know. Try it and see. Try them separately. Try them together and see what you think's happening. It's 2 points acting together to do that. Okay. Clear the chest and 5. I fiddle around until I feel like I've got the place. And then as I do that, I feel her breathing next to my ankle there. So that's my sign that I found the right place. Otherwise, up until then, I'm going, is this it, is this it, is this it, is this it, until I find the right one. So that's large intestine 11, large intestine 4.
Sorry, can you just go back to saying that again? So you expect a change in the breath then?
Well, I happened to hear or to sense a change in the breath. And I had been going through a, is it this, is it here, is it here? And it's like her body heard me and went, yes, it's there.
Okay, yeah.
Like going, and so it was down here that I felt it, back of her lungs where my ankle is. That's what I was saying really. Yeah. So I wasn't looking for it, but I noticed that it helped me. It's answered my question.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be your breath, can't it?
Yes. Yes,
Oh.
or a rumble in quite a lot of you are getting rumbles in your own tummies
Yeah.
or sensations in your own bodies. Large intestine 4, the great eliminator or adrenal valleys.
So you press it back against the bone there with blood intestine 4.
Kind of that direction.
Yeah, back towards the
So it is pushing the hand, but it's also going down and also slightly up. So it's sort of, if those are those two bones where the valley is, it's like down and under like that. And then into bladder, palming and thumbing, head and back, legs, squeezing the feet, kidney 1, and then finishing back. At the beginning. And then there are some points we'll do today, later on, for stress, and you can add those in as well. So for example, we're going to do yin tang, which we spoke about in our exercises this morning. Sometimes I finish because it's for clearing the mind. Holding both these places. We'll learn that to this training. If we don't go through. Okay.
I just wanted to ask with the large intestine, it's kind of like it's in the yin direction, it's going to the extremity. We're doing
I'm working the energy of the meridians in the same direction from the centre out. This is a Zen style thing, which is against the numbering,
Yeah.
because as you say, large intestine 1 is here. So if we were working in the direction of the numbering, we would work from the tip of the finger into the nose. But the Zen way is to work from the centre out. So for the people who do the training that you're doing and then go on to learn Zen meridians and so on, it saves you having to switch halfway through your training.
Okay.
So it's working but in a different direction. So we sort of, if we like, we use some of the Zen rules, even though we're working the classical meridians. So good observation. Yeah. So not very helpful, but yeah, at least if you know that's why it's happening. I can't take any more.